بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. You're all welcome to today's session of our Nahu lessons. As I did mention, our target is to be able to identify the difference between how we learned this particular subject and how it can be done. Or it can be learned better. I've always mentioned that the purpose for me going and the academy generally going seriously into this particular mode of teaching the Nahu is not to bring anything new about the Nahu rules and the subject as a whole, but to bring more people to appreciate that subject, as well as get interested into having a direct connection with Al-Quran. Basically, that it is, and that is it. And Alhamdulillah, so far we are on course. For those who have tried wholeheartedly to learn, I'm sure they are picking something from it, and that is the main purpose. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala assist us in that course. Today we are going to continue from where we stopped yesterday. Yesterday we learned the definition of Nahu, and that Nahu is all about knowing the is. I mean, this is a very simple way of putting it. Knowing the is and their related signs, as well as how those endings affect the meaning of an Arabic statement. You know, this understanding is just to make it easy for every learner to know that in Arabic, the word itself does not really say what the meaning of a statement is or what an expression is conveying, but rather the ending of the words will tell you what those words are really doing in the sentence. And so yesterday we learned that those words that make up any Arabic statement are divided into only three: either Ism, Fi'l, or Harf. Now, with this understanding, we were able to compare and juxtapose what we know in English to the Arabic context. And then we got to understand that, oh, so a lot of the parts of speech we know in English are actually isms. I mean, basically, this is how we take it. Most of the parts of speech in English are isms in Arabic. The rest are either harfs or fi'l. Of course, fi'l is just a body on its own, but ism takes a chunk of it. Your pronoun, your noun, your adjective, your adverb, all kinds of pronouns that we spoke about yesterday, relative pronoun, demonstrative pronoun, and so on. They are all isms. And so you understand that even your mind now is set to say, majority of what I will be seeing in Arabic, majority of the words are actually isms. I mean, I can confidently say this to you. The rest, of course, can either be ism, fi'l, or harf. How do I detect an ism? Yesterday, we gave a simple example of how to detect an ism. But today, we will give you more. And inshallah, from today, the understanding of ism will be intact. Okay? So today we are going to take one part of speech in Arabic, and that is ism, and look at it in detail. So bear with us as we share the slides. Okay, I hope you can see. I hope you can see my slides now. So please, can you see my slides? Alhamdulillah. Okay, good. Now, the first type of word in Arabic is ism. Now, note this very important statement that every ism has 4 properties. When I say properties, I mean those things that come together to define the ism. So the property of the human body are the head, the legs, the arms, right? These are the physical things that makes us human. So with ism, these are the properties that make you identify it. So these are its identification parameters. For you to identify any ism in Arabic, you need to know its status, you need to know its number, its gender, and its type. In Arabic, we call this halat i'rab al-ism, adad al-ism, jins al-ism, wa qismuhu, qism al-ism, ay qismun. So this status, the number, gender, type, we normally abbreviate it as SNGT. So the SNGT of an ism is what we are going to learn today. Now, note once again, for each of this status, number, gender, type, you would need to know what am I looking at to know the status, or what am I looking at to know the number, what am I looking at to know the gender, and what am I looking at to know the type. Which means, in other words, status has certain features, or there are certain things to consider. Number has certain features, or there are certain things to consider. Gender has certain features or certain things to consider, as well as type. They have also certain features or certain things to consider to be able to know the type of an ism. So these are the 4 properties, but all the 4 properties, we need to go into them into details to see what are the statuses. Is it only one status? Is it 2 status? What is it? Is it one type of number? Is it 2, 3? Gender, are they 1, 2, 3? Type, are they 1, 2, 3? Those are the things that we are going to learn. So by the time we finish today, you would have seen what these 4 properties mean. But this statement is very key for an ism, the 4 properties. You can't dodge this. In fact, this is what makes the whole course. Because as I said, ism is the core, or is the main body of this language. Nahu, ism, the word ism. Yesterday I explained how the word ism is even in the context of our aqidah, right? From the asma, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Adam, to the ism rabbika, which was part of the first verses of the revelation, to Bismillahi, with which we start every recitation, to even Bismillahi, with which we start everything we are asked to do by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the word ism is key, even into the aqidah of the Muslim. And so you see how the consonance between Arabic and even the aqidah of Islam. So Arabic has a very deep, and that's why we always say that learning Al-Quran to a Muslim is really is an individual obligation. You just have to do it one way or the other. Yes, we have scholars who will go and learn the Arabic and learn how to interpret the Quran and so on. But as a Muslim also, you need to have a direct connection with the Quran, so that when you are reading it, or when someone is reading it, or when you are behind the Imam and the Imam is reading the Quran in prayers, you have certain connection. You know certain things. When the Imam says, Bismillah, you know why it is Ismillah, not Bismullahi, for instance, or Bismallahi, for instance. When the Imam says, Fi sabili, you know, it is why it's in Fi sabili, not Fi sabilullahi, for instance. When the Muazzin says, Ashhadu an la ilaha, it's not saying La ilahu, for instance. Those things make you get connected with Al-Quran, and you know, as a Muslim, you get a better relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's fard ayn to learn the Quran. There are no two ways about it. To learn the language of Arabic, yes, we can say that is fard kifaya. Some will learn how to speak it, how to interpret deeply the verses, but for us to learn the Quran directly, this must be fard ayn. Every one of us has that responsibility. So that's just by the way of motivation. So let's go to Ism and the four properties: status, number, gender, and time. Okay. Yesterday I shared this slide and I said that we are going by this track and we need to know where we are in the context of the sentence, fragment, word, formula, and the strata we mentioned yesterday. We said at the top there is the word, the fragment, then the sentence. That makes up the language. And so today we are going to concentrate mainly on the ism. Very important, right? Please get focused. We're talking about ism. Harf will come within, as we are explaining the ism, you will see the harf, you know, intruding, coming. By the time you realize, we will really get the harf. And then the last part of our course will be the fi'l, okay? Inshallah. Now, let me show you the difference before we even get into the ism. You know, there is something called, most of the time, for instance, when we hear Rafa'a, Nasb, and Jar, right? Rafa, Nasb, and Jar. We might be thinking it means Dhamma, Fatah, Kesra. Now, I want to clear this information that it is not. Rafa is not Dhamma. Nasb is not Fatah. And Jar is not Kesra. Am I having some intrusion? Okay. Sorry, let me do something here quickly. Okay, thank you. So, Rafa is not Dhamma. Please note, Rafa is not Dhamma. Nasb is not Fatha. And Jar is not Kisra. Someone will say, ah, really? Yes. Okay. I repeat this. Yes, so Rafa is not Dhamma. Nasb is not Fatha. And Jar is not Kesra. Yes, Rabbi Ustambo, brother. I'm going to explain, inshallah, and inshallah we'll get it well as we go. Okay. Now, note here, there's something called Halat al-I'rab. Halat al-I'rab al-Ism. Now, when I say Hala, Hala means status. Status. Now, then we have something called Alamat al-I'rab al-Ism. Alama means sign. So Alama means sign, and Hala means status. Now, you get into this status a certain status for you to get a certain alama, certain sign. So the signs, the Dhamma, Fatha, Kisra, are signs for Rafa, Nasb, Jar, but they are not the same. So if you are the king, you wear the crown. So your status as the king gives you the crown. But the crown is not the king. So the status of you being a king make you wear the crown. So alamat are signs only for these status. So you'll be in a particular position. You are called the chief executive officer only because you are in that position, right? So you cannot have Dhamma if you are not in that position. Now note, these three are also not the only signs for these status. These three, Dhamma, Fatha, Kisra, are not the only signs for Rafa, Nasb, Jar. Now, Rabiu, brother Rabiu, you know now why you cannot say Dhamma means Rafa. You can't say Dhamma means Rafa because of a lot of reasons. One of them is what I'm giving you now. Just take that note now, and as we go forward, you will get to know more why Dhamma is not Rafa, Nasb is not Fatha, and Kisra is not Jar. But you can say Dhamma is a sign of Rafa. When I say is a sign, not the sign. Note, it's a sign because there are other signs, okay? Fatha is a sign for Nasb, and Kisra is a sign for Jar. I know where this thing is coming from, and we are all victim of it. I mean, we used to think Dhamma is equivalent to Rafa. Even when we learn the Nahu in Arabic, we learn Rafa, but we always make as if the Rafa is the Dhamma. But rather, Rafa, Nasb, Jar are status, positions, conditions, situations. Now, signs for those situations are the Dhamma, Fatha, Kisra. And this is just the basic one. There are others, and we come to learn them at the right time. Mr. Rabiu, I hope that is clear. My brother, I hope that is clear, and we can move forward. Good. Now, status, Rafa, Nasb, Jar is abbreviated as R, N, and J. Rafa, Nasb, Jar. Rafa, Nasb, Jar. Don't forget, these are status. Status. Matsayi, in Hausa they say it's Matsayi. You have that Matsayi, when you have that position of Rafa, or you have that position of Nasb, or you have that position of Jar. So these are status. That's why we call them status. So the S of the SNGT are of three types. Now we are going into them, into their details. You know, I told you all the status, number, gender, type, they have details. Now the detail of status in Arabic are R, N, J, Rafa, Nasb, Jar. So there are three forms. We call them forms of the status. Three forms of the status. Rafa, Nasb, Jar. So any ism you see in Al-Quran, or any ism you see in Arabic, it's either in Rafa status, in Nasb status, or in Jar status. There is no fourth status. There are only three. Good. Now, those three status, instances of them have been given here, but not all. These are not all. Okay? It says that, for instance, status number one, which is Rafa, is when a word is a doer of an action. Fa'il, right? I'm sure Mr. Rabi knows this. The fa'il or the doer of an action is always in the rafa status. So you see, it's not, you cannot say it's in Dhamma status, right? So it's in rafa status. Now, the status number 2, which is the nasb, is the detail of the act. We call it detail of the act, are always in nasb status. Yes, Rabi, yes, you're right. Or we call it a victim, the victim of the act. Okay? Which Rabi you can call maf'ul, right? That's the detail or the victim of the act. It's always in nasb status. Now note, it's not in fatah status, it's in nasb status, because fatah is a sign, but nasb is a status. Okay? So nasb status are always with isms that are considered details or victims of an action or other things. We are yet to know, we are yet to learn all things that make an ism nasb. But the point is that an ism can be in the status of nasb when they are considered a detail of an action or victims of an action, right? So this is the actor, this is the victim of the action, and this is the possessive in the possessive case, or we call it after of. An ism in jar status is an ism after of. What is this after of? After of is a word that possesses the word before it. So when I say Baytullahi, the house of Allah, so the word Allah would be in jar status, because in your translation you say Bayt, house of Allah. So any word after of in your translation would be in jar status. Or by extension, any word in a possessive case as the possessor, okay? The possessor is in jar status, okay? So, Kitabu Muhammadin. So you see, Kitabu Muhammadin, you see? The jar status, the Muhammadin will be in jar status. Why? Because in translation, it will be the book of Muhammad. The book of Muhammad. So any word that comes in that status, or in the state where any word that comes after of, is considered in jar status. Now note, I did not mention any sign. I'm just mentioning the status. Rafa, nasb, jar. And I've given you instances where an ism can be considered in either rafa, nasb, or jar. Note these 3 different instances, but they are not the only ones. Note, an ism can be in rafa status in so many other ways, right? But this is just the beginning, or this is just an instance of how an ism can be in any of those status, right? So don't forget, status are not signs. Status are not signs. Status are different from signs, okay? A status is rafa, a status is nasb, and a status, or nasb is a status, rafa is the status, and jar is a status. And we mentioned what a status is. It's like the normal English word, which everybody knows. If I say your status demands that, it means it's because of you being in that status that you are asked to do a certain thing. So the Dhamma Fatah Kesra are as a result of the word being in the Rafa, Nasb, and Jar. Right? Very important here. Very good. So these are the 3 different forms of the status. Now note this down. The 3 different forms of the status of an ism are rafa, nasb, and jar. Now note, rafa, nasb, and jar. I'm not saying dhamma, fatha, kesra. Please, okay? Note that down. Rafa, nasb, jar. Good. Now let's go into details. Now, yes, Mr. Abdul Hamid, inshallah, that will be done today. Inshallah. Inshallah. Thank you. And please, for some of you who have not yet shared your email addresses, kindly do so for us. Jazakallah khair. Thank you. Okay. Now, look at this first, the explanation I was doing earlier on, particularly for some of you who have the confusion between Dhamma and Rafa. Rafa is here, Rafa status, R, or we use R for that. If a word is in Rafa status, it's identified as marfu'un. So this is how we term it, right? إذا كان الاسم مرفوع في رفع حالة الرفع نقول أن الاسم مرفوع. If a word happens to be in the status, we call it as what? A word in rafa status. Marfu, you can see the rafa'a. So marfu'un, mar means an ism in a status. Every word you see with an meme in the beginning in Arabic is an ism. It's also another tip for you. مرفوع أي الاسم الموضوع في حالة الرفع or الاسم في حالة الرفع. Okay, so if a word is in that status, we say it is marfu. Now comes the unraveling of that confusion that we used to have. These are the signs for any ism that is termed marfu because it's in the status of rafa. These are the signs. Okay, the ism can have dhamma, it can end with ani, it can end with una, it can end with atun, or it can end with wow. Just note these down, but their time will come for us to explain more. Okay, let's note them down. So these are the signs. So now it's now clear for my brother who asked earlier. Now, okay. So Dhamma is really not fair to say Dhamma means Rafa. In fact, it's not fair. It's unjust. You cannot be fair to. Rafa is a status that can have the sign. It can have this sign, this combination. This is a sound. Ooh, this is, we call it ending combination. This one is also another ending combination. And this one is another ending combination. And this one is an elongated sound. Ooh, we will come to learn. How can an ism become marfu? Because it has u at the end. How can an ism become marfu? Because it has atun at the end. How can an ism become marfu? Because it has una at the end. How can an ism become marfu? Because it has ani at the end. And how can an ism become marfu? Because it has the sound u at the end. We'll come to the details, but note these signs for Rafa. Let's go to nasb. An ism is said to be in nasb status. Then it is termed or identified as man. You can see the nasb, but we call it the root word. So mansubun. It means the ism is in the status of nasb. Okay. So if an ism is in the status of nasb, of course, that is if it is the victim or the detail, then it will take these signs. So these are the 5 different signs also that an ism can take. Okay, these are the signs that an ism can take, if it can show, of course. Note that some isms would not even show any of these ones. That one I have not even added here. There is an ism that will not show even any of this, but we'll come to that too. But there is an ism also that will not show any of this. But if it has to show, then what it has to show is the aini, ina, atin, and okay. Yes, so you are right, Mr. Rabiu. Now let's go to the jar status. An ism is said to be majroor if it is in the status of jar, not jarun, not jarun. This I need to correct this, not jarun, but jar. Jarun, not jar. Okay, good. So we say this ism is majroor because it's in the status of jar. So jar is the status. Majroorun is the identity of that ism which is in the status of jar. These are the signs that can be shown on any ism in Arabic that is in the status of jar. So it can be majrurun bil kasra, it can be majrurun bi aini, majrurun bi ina, majrurun bi atin, or majrurun bi ya. Or it cannot even show it at all in some cases. And we'll come to that. Okay. So, and an ism would be in the status of jar and have these signs when it is a possessive, or it is in a possessive case, or a word after of, or if it is preceded by a harf of jar. We'll come to these details. But the most important thing for you to understand here is that there is something called the status of jar, the status of nasb, and the status of rafa. An instance is a rafa ism is the actor or the doer or the subject or the predicate. You can name it. A lot of things can give you the status of rafa. An ism can be in the status of nasb if it's the detail, if it is a victim of an action, or even if it is preceded by harf of nasb, which we'll come to talk about. And then an ism is in the possessive case, therefore it is in majroor. It is majroor in the status of jar if it is after of or a possessive case, or it is preceded by harf of jar. Very important. Now, let's sharpen our fingers because we are going to now explain which of these words, which is an ism, of course, indicate what status. Okay? Don't forget what we said, that the status of rafa is the status of an ism or a word that is either the doer or the subject. Okay? Or even an ism standing alone is in rafa status. Don't forget that. You remember the first word you learn in the class is maybe kitabun or waladun. Have you ever seen a teacher or muallim teaching you waladan or kitaban? No. Normally it is kalamun and mirsamun and madrasatun. Why is it un? Because any word standing alone by default, if it's an ism, then it is in rafa status. Okay? It's in rafa status, and the sign of that rafa status in this case is what? Un. Okay? Good. So in rafa status meaning it's the doer of an action or the subject. Nasb status is the victim of an action or the receiver of an action or preceded by a harf of nasb. Jar status is the possessive word or the word that possesses something or the word that literally falls after of in translation. It comes in a jar status. Okay? And we have given also signs of all the three. Now, let's look at this English context. And let's remember those things that make an ism in a particular status. Let's remember those and let's see the statement. And you tell me the isms here and what status they belong to. So I ate too much chocolate. I ate too much chocolate. What are the isms in this statement? Can you tell me the isms in this statement? Type it in your Mr. Infinix, kindly, or Mrs. Infinix, kindly name yourself so that we can identify you appropriately. I see you raise your hand, but I just want us for now to be doing the typing, okay? According to what we learned yesterday and what we have just learned, what are the isms in this statement? I ate too much chocolate. So chocolate is an, so is it only, yes, yes, you are right. Yes, mashallah, I'm seeing, oh, sorry, I'm seeing a lot of answers here, right? Starting from Rehan, Shaban says R, what is R and N? Okay. I'm saying what are the isms first? Okay, I is an ism, chocolate is an, yes, yes, chocolate and I. Okay, okay, very good. Okay, okay, I ate too much. What about too much? Nobody's very good. Aisha Ibrahim is even saying too much. Yes, so because the too much describes something, and anything describing something is also an ism in Arabic. You understand? So these are some of the things we are learning in addition to what we already know, right? If a particular word describes either an ism or a fi'l, in Arabic is an ism. Yes, so mashallah, very good, Amina. Okay, now we have identified the isms. Now, can you tell me the word I, which is an ism, which status would it be and why? Which status would it be? I. It's an ism, so it has a status. And we mentioned the three kinds of status, Rafa, Nasb, Jar. And we gave an instance, yes, so mashallah Abdul Hamid, mashallah Aisha, mashallah Imran, mashallah Asma, mashallah Rehan. Yes, it is here the subject. It is the subject. Mashallah, mashallah. Or somebody will say it is the doer. Somebody will say it's a doer, somebody will say it's a sharp subject. Not controversial, but it can always be explained. Because actually in Arabic context, I starting the sentence can be considered a subject because it is the ism, okay? It's an ism, it's a pronoun, right? It can be a subject, so it's muqtada. But if you translate it, this particular sentence into Arabic, then the I, which is two, akel two, will be what? The doer, will be the fa'il, okay? So there's the, but generally it's in rafa status, right? Now, chocolate, what status is chocolate? Chocolate, what status is it in and why? Nasb status, Rehan says, Infinix, can Infinix change, can you rename yourself? Just go to the participants, go onto your name, hover your mouse on top of your name, and right click it, or you right click your name, you will find rename, just rename and give yourself a name, please. Okay, because if another Infinix comes into the class, I will not be able to identify you. Yes, it is mansub because it is the receiver of the action. Yes, so yes, Abdul Hamid. Yes, very good, Hafiz. MashaAllah. So very good. We are learning. Yes, because it's the victim here. MashaAllah. Yes, very good. And as we said, too much is also describing either the eating or the chocolate. In either cases, it is what? It is explaining, okay? And so the too much is also another ism in the nasb bucket, okay? Very good. My tooth started hurting badly. My tooth started hurting badly. Now, I'll not go into the detail of this, but tooth and badly are both isms, correct? Tooth and badly are both ism. Is that correct? Good, Hafiz. Now, if tooth and badly are both isms, why is tooth colored green and badly colored blue? Of course, I didn't tell you what the blue and green signify here, even though according to our code of code of coloring here in S.A.I.D, we are supposed to color them in a certain way. But for the sake of this particular class, let's say everything that is colored in the blue is the victim or is in nasb status, and whatever is colored in green is the subject or the doer. So this is in rafa status and this is in nasb status, right? Because this is the one that started the action of hurting. And how was it hurting? Badly. So this is describing how the hurting is. Okay? Okay? So badly is also in nasb status because it is also in the bucket of the victim or what is happening, right? Good. Yes, tooth is in rafa status and badly is in nasb status. The dentist gave me a feeling, okay? So the dentist is the one who did the giving. So it's in rafa status. A feeling is what was given. So it's in nasb status. Yes, you are right, Aisha. Yes, you are right. So dentist is the doer here and feeling is the done to. Now, who can explain Lafzul Jalala Allah here? The house of Allah. What will the status of Allah be? What will the status of Allah be and why? Yes, so mashallah, because it comes after of in our translation, mashallah. That is very good. That's so any ism after of in translation is in jar status. Mashallah. Very good. Very good. Now, I am in the house. I am in the house. Now, this one is a little bit tricky. Why am I coloring this red? And what status is the house? Okay, Habib says it's in jar status. Why is it in jar status? Is there any off there? Why is it in jar status? Abdul Hamid, Aisha, Habib, why is it in jar status? Aywa, because of the word in. Very good. That's a good one. Yes. Yes, mashallah. Yes, because in is harf jar. Mashallah. That is good. So we are progressing now. So we'll come and learn the huruful jar, inshallah. And we will then know, okay. This is one of the prepositions that inflict the pain of jar on any ism after it. It victimizes any ism. In fact, we say all huruful jar, they have a job to do. It doesn't matter who you are. Even if you are the one who doesn't show any wasali, it will still make you majroor. Okay. Okay. So in is the reason for the jar status of the word here. And finally, I did the eating. I ate apple outside yesterday quickly out of hunger. Now the whole of these is colored in blue, 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 blue. Why? Who can tell me? Why are these all of them colored in blue? Yes, so they are all in nasb status. Yes, they are all in nasb status. Yes, Ismail. Yes, Abdul Hamid. MashaAllah. So the apple I ate outside yesterday quickly out of hunger, the whole of this statement is related or is all bunched into the box or into the bucket of nasb. Okay, it is related to that apple that I ate outside. Quickly actually describes the way I do the eating, right? Yes. Yes, Rabiu. MashaAllah. Very good. And then, so the apple is what I ate. Where did I eat it? Outside. When did I eat it? Yesterday. How did I eat it? Quickly. How was the eating out? Sorry, why? Why was I eating it quickly? It's out of hunger. So now note this very important statement that I'm going to make. Everything or every ism that indicates the what, the how, the where, the when, and the how, sorry, the what, the where, the what, how, and the when. Okay, all those words that explain these instances or these things are in nasb status. So the doer is I. The what did I eat? The what. This is the what. This is the where. And this is the when. And this is the how. And this is the why. So all the answers to the what, to the when, sorry, to the what, where, when, how, and why, those answers to all those question tags are nasb words, or words that answer those questions are always in nasb status. Please let's note that. Finally, the masjid will be in what status and why? Yes, so Rabiu. Yes, mashallah, that's a good one. Yes, 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 inshallah. Yes, Aisha says in the masjid is majrur because of in. I like that. This is one of the harf of jar. It's fi. So fi is harf of jar. Mashallah. Mashallah. Okay. What about the last word here? The last word here is, what am I seeing? Okay. Of my area. Okay. Of my area. So my area, it's in what status and why? Oh, mashallah. Very good. Very good. So we are learning. So basically, thank you so very much, everybody. Basically, what we have so far learned is, that is how these things work. The status of Rafa, Nasb, Jar. Rafa status is always with isms that are either the subject or doers of an action. Nasb status are the victims or the what, when, where, how, why answers of a statement, whilst the jar status are only related to possessive words as well as words after harf of jar. We'll go for a short break, inshallah, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion of ism and the status of an ism. Please stay on. We'll be back shortly in the next 5 minutes, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wabihi nasta'in. So let's continue with my slides. Let me give you my slides quickly. I hope you can all hear me. Okay. So based on what we have discussed so far, we have realized that the 3 different forms of the status, Rafa, Nasb, Jar, are the only status for an ism. Now note, I'm saying for an ism, so we are talking about an ism here. These are some other examples. A teacher entered the classroom. So here you can see Dakhala al-Mudarris, and I didn't put anything on the scene for a reason. Al-Fasl, also I didn't put anything here. So if you look at the statement, a teacher enters, so where you ask your teacher, you ask yourself, who did the entering? Is the teacher. Where did he enter? So the classroom took the action. So this is the doer and this is the done to. The doing happened on that. So it's called the done to, or the victim. Maf'ul, right? Good. So this is the doer, so it's in rafa status. This is the done to, so it is in nas status. And that's why in this case, you will say, dakhala mudarrisun. You see? So this one will become with mudarrisun, dummatan. Right? And then al-fasla. Al-fasla. A is the sign of nasb. Is the sign of rafa. Again, a student of his was sleeping soundly. You see, student definitely is the subject. Of his definitely is majroor because of the of. Soundly is describing how the sleeping was done. So it is nasb, right? So kana talibu. You see, talibu. It's supposed to be talibu who yanamu yanamu saliman. So you can see the nasb, and this one is supposed to be talibu. Okay, because this is the one doing the sleeping. Okay, so this is rafa and this is nasb. But the who here of his, the who here, is in jar status. Now, it is in jar status, but you don't see the kesra. Now, this goes to my brother earlier on who spoke about the jar. When I say jar doesn't mean kesra. You see here is in the status of jar, even though the who doesn't have the jar. And that's why I say sometimes if a word is non-flexible, this one we call it non-flexibility, which means it does not change. Okay? Mabni. Okay? Non-flexible. I hope I am on. You can't see the shared screen. Okay, sorry. Okay, can you see my screen now? Sorry. Can you see my screen now? I thought I was sharing the screen. Sorry. Okay. Okay, thank you. Starting from Imran. Sorry, the chat box was down. So, okay, mashallah. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, so now this is what I was explaining, that a teacher entered the classroom. Dakhala mudarrisun al-fasla. Okay, so teacher is the doer, so rafa. Fasla. So this one's supposed to take fatha because it is in the status of nasb. This takes dhamma because it is in the status of rafa. Okay, so it doesn't take let me explain this. It doesn't take rafa, it takes dhamma, but it is the status that is rafa. Okay, so it's the status of rafa, therefore you can say it is marfu'un bid dhamma. Okay, and this one you say mansubun bil fatha. Okay, very important. So here, a student of his, then I said of his, was sleeping soundly. You can see that a student is the one who was doing the sleeping. Of his, the word is here is in jar status because of the of. Soundly shows how the sleeping was done, so it is also in nasb status, right? So talibu is the one doing the sleeping, so it has to be in u sound. But talibu who, the status, the who is of his, okay, of his. Now who is supposed to be in jar status? Yes. Is it in jar status? The question is, yes, it is. Now this word is in jar status. Yes, it is in jar status. But then the question is, what is the sign of jar here? You say that this word here is fi mahal, okay? That means it's sitting in a place of jar, fi mahal jar, okay? It's sitting in the place of jar. Even though the jar doesn't appear on it, it is because one of the rulings is that every pronoun is non-flexible, mabni. It means it doesn't change. That's why the kisra doesn't appear here. You see, that's why the kisra doesn't appear here. So we say that who is ضمير مبني على الضمة في محل جر. Okay, okay. The sign of kisra would not appear on it because it is non-flexible. Okay, good. The teacher threw the pencil. So the teacher is the actor. The pencil is the done to. This is the doer. This is the done to. This is the victor. This is the victim. Okay. So this will be in rafa status and this will be in nasb status. So Rama al-Mudarri, you can't say Mudarrisa. You can't say Mudarrisi, but you have to say Mudarrisu. Okay. Because he's the one who did the throwing. Right? Then Mirsa Man, not Mirsa Mun or Mirsa Min. Why? Man, because it is the victim or the done to, the one that is affected by the action of throwing, right? The last one here says the teacher's student woke up suddenly. Now note this, the teacher's student is actually the student of the teacher. Is student of the teacher, right? So this one is actually after of. So any word with a possession is actually majroor. Any word you see with apostrophe S is majroor. Isn't that interesting? Good. So istayqadha talibul, istayqadha talibul ustaz. So you say here I will say istayqadha talibu, not talibi or taliba, because the talib is the one who did the istayqadha. So talibu istayqadha. This talib did the istayqadha. Okay, and the talib is of the ustaz. Talib of the ustaz. So the ustaz will be E as kisra, as the sign of jar. Okay. Then faj'atan. Faj'atan is how. How the istiqaz was done. How did he wake up? How the wake up. So this answering the question of how. Okay. So it is also in nasb. So it becomes faj'atan. Okay. Now somebody will ask, but why is it here first la, not first lan? This one is also, even though they are both nasb, but this one is having fatha, not fathatan. This one is having fathatan. This one is also having fathatan. But there are reasons for that. But in this particular course, we say this one is heavy, faj'atan, but al-fasla, it is irrelevant because of the alif and lam. Okay? We will come to that, inshallah, in detail. Okay? Very good. So, but for now, this is in possessive case, after of in translation. This is the doer of the action, and this is the how of the action. Okay, good. Now let's come to the next bit of the status. First, we have learned the three forms of the status. Now we are going to learn how to tell the status. How to tell the status. So the first one we learn is the form. Don't forget, there are three forms: rafa, nasb, jar. Okay, and we have stated what makes a word in rafa status, what makes it in nasb status, and what makes it in jar status. Now, how do we tell the status? What are the signs in this case? Now we are talking about the signs. Now comes to the answer to my brother. Is it the brother who spoke about the Dhamma? Rabiu, yes. These are the signs. You see, now you come to the realization that, okay, the u, ani, una, atun, wow are all signs, okay, that makes me know that the word is in rafa status. So I can tell that a word is marfu'un by these endings. I can tell that a word is mansub by these endings. I can tell that a word is majrur by these endings. Now note this. This is u, ani, una, atun, wow. Then a, aini, ina, atun, wow. Sorry, atin and alif or a. Then I, aini, ina, atin, and ya. Now you realize that the aini, ina, atin here, aini, ina, atin is the same between the nasb and the jar. Aini, ina, atin is the same. So how do I differentiate the nasb and jar of these status? Then we'll say it's by context. Depending on the context of the sentence, you will know that if the word is in nasb status, Of course, if it is the victim of an action, or if it is after of in translation, or is in possessive case. I hope that is clear. But in this, and of course, we are going to learn more about why this one is E and this is Aini and Ina and Atin. We are going to learn about those later. That will show you that the first bit, the U, A, E, are for singular. The Ani, Aini, Aini are for pair. The Una, Ina, Ina for plural, masculine. Atun, Atin, Atin are for plural, feminine. And Waw, Alif, and Ya are for special isms called Al-Asma al-Khams. Okay, so these are all signs depending on where they find themselves, but they are signs for Jar, Nas, and Rafa. Very good. Remember, for instance, when we say the messenger of Allah taught his companions universal virtues, what is the status of the messenger? Who can tell me the status of the messenger? Yes, it's in Rafa status. Why? Why is it in Rafa status? Just give me the reason. Always give me the answer and give me the reasons. Okay, it's marfu. Yes, I agree perfectly. But why is it in Rafa status? Absolutely, because it's the doer of the teaching. You can see that, right? He taught. Absolutely, Asma. Very good. Yes, he's the doer in this case. Nadia, he is the subject if we are talking, well, in English here, we can say yes, but he is the subject actually, even if the mubtada of its jumla ismiya, but we'll come to that. But you are also right as the subject, right? In English, it can also work in English, okay? Good. So he is the doer here. What about Allah, the Lafzul Jalala? What status will it be? Lafzul Jalala. Allah. What will the status of Lafzul Jalala be? Majroor. Why? Why? It's after of. Yes, Rayhan. MashaAllah. Jar after of. I like that question. When you do that, you give me comprehensive answers. Thank you so very much. Okay. Because it's after of. Okay. What about his, the word, the word his? What is the status of the word his? What is the status of the word his? Yes, so very good. Very good. Very good. It's in jar status because of possession. What about companions? What is the status of companions? What is the status of companions? I like this class so much. What is the status of, yes, yes. So what is the status? It is the, what is the status? It is Rafa Nasbo Jar. Nasb, very good, because they are the one taught. So they receive the teaching. What about the universal virtue? Yes, they are the recipients. What about the universal virtue? What about the universal virtue? What will the status be? Universal? Yes. No. Okay. Universal. Oh, wow. Okay. What were they taught? They were taught the universal virtue. So it is the Nasb also status. It's also another Nasb status. But Aisha, you might be right if we go into the detail of universal virtue. Okay. Universal virtue as two words. One of them will be in jar status. I agree with you also. But that is just for the next class, inshallah. But for now, the universal virtue as a whole would all be in the mansub status. Yes, you are right, Abdul Amin. Thank you very much. Yes, 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 very good, Rabiu. Good. So Dawood killed Jalud. Dawood killed Jalud. Give me the doer and the done to. Who is the doer and who is the done to? Who is the fa'il and who is the maf'ul? So Dawood is the doer. Okay, Aisha. And Jalut is the Jalut is the mansub. Yes, is the that too. Very good. Okay, good. Now look at this statement very well. Allah sent his messenger. Give me the status of all the isms inside the statement. The isms. What are the isms and what are the status? Give me all the status. Allah sent his messenger. Give me all the isms and their status. Allah is the Rafa. You say Lafzul Jalala. Please note, in Nahaw here, when we don't consider Allah is, Lafzul Jalala. So we say Lafzul Jalala is better, okay? Lafzul Jalala, okay? Lafzul Jalala here is Rafa, is Marfu, correct. And what about the rest of the isms? What about the rest of the isms? Messenger is what? Okay, messenger is mansub. Yes. What? Okay. Okay. Very interesting here. Somebody Rabi Sabo says Allah is. Is it nasb? Nafs. Okay. Lafz al Jalala is yes. Messenger is ism. Yes, it is ism. But what status is it? Asma says Allah is Lafz al Jalala. Lafz al Jalala. What is the status? Nobody is giving me the full answer now. Wonderful. Some people are giving it to me in bits and pieces. Okay. So Allah, Lafz al-Jalala here is in Rafa status because he did the sending. Okay. And he sent a messenger of his. Okay. Messenger of his. Okay. So the messenger is in Nasb status and Jar, and his here is in Jar status. Yes. Yes. MashaAllah, Asma. Very good. Good. Now, this is how the ending sounds are applied. Now, we call these ones, thank you very much, Mr. Infinix. Okay. These are the sounds. So anytime we see the u, or un, an, in, we say that the u is the sign of Rafa, a is a sign of Nasb, and e is a sign of Jar. U is is also another sign of Rafa. An is a sign of Nasb, and in is a sign of Jar. But note this. In this particular program, we say this is light and this is heavy. This is light and this is heavy. By default, every ism is heavy. We'll come to that. Every ism standing alone is heavy. So that's why we say, for instance, if you want to tell me what is the name of how do you say a school in Arabic? You don't say madrasatu, you say madrasatun because it's a school. So madrasatun. So any word standing alone by default is heavy. This is very important information. Okay. So heavy means munawwan. Okay. Light means ghayr munawwan. Okay. That is concerning the tajweed. For some of you who know the tajweed, we say munawwan is heavy and ghayr munawwan means it's light. There are reasons why isms would be light, but by default, they are always heavy. Please note this. This is an Edmodo question. In English, the sequence of words matter. Now, this is very good information here, my brothers. In English, you cannot ignore the sequence of the words. Okay? Who did what? Okay? For instance, Qabil killed Habil. Qabil killed Habil. You can't rearrange these words in English. You can't bring Qabil here and bring Habil here. Or you can't bring Habil before Qabil. You can't just reposition them to give you the same meaning. Now, Talut killed Jalut. Talut killed Jalut. In English, that's the only way you can say this for the meaning to stand, that it is Talut who did the killing. And it's Jalut who received the killing. Right? Good. What about in Arabic? In Arabic, sequence of words do not matter. And this is a very important thing we are going to learn here. We need to just look at the ending of the word to determine who did what to whom. right? So if you are able to figure out the action, that is the fi'l, look at the next rafa ism. The ism that is marfu after the action, wherever it is in the sentence, and that is your fa'il, and that one will be in rafa status, and it will take either dhamma, una, ani, atun, or waw, according to whatever word it is. Okay? And in the ism, and the ism in nasb status will always be what? Mansub, and that will be the detail or the victim or the done to, and that will be the maf'ul wherever it is. So any ism which is having the nasb or which is in the nasb status will always be the victim of the action. It doesn't matter where it is in the sentence. Okay? So the maf'ul would always be after the fi'l. Okay? And then it will be nasb status, which means it can take either fatha, aini, ina, atin, or alif, depending on what word you are looking at. Okay? And of course, the maf'uls, there are a lot of them. This one, we'll come to them. There are different kinds of maf'ul. Maf'ul bihi, maf'ul fihi, maf'ul lahu, maf'ul hal, maf'ul mutlaq, and so on. Okay? We'll come to them. But the most important thing is that the fa'il is the first rafa ism after the fi'il. Okay? And then the nasb or the maf'ul bihi is the nasb ism that is after the fi'il. Very important information here. So there are two types of isms. There are two types of the ending to an ism, which we have just learned. Okay? Sounds and combinations. Now, the first one is the sound, ending sound. These are the endings. Okay, the endings of the word can either be sound and or combination. If you remember, let me just take you quickly back to this particular slide. Have you seen this? This slide. This one is the sound, but these ones are combination of signs, sounds, and letters. So that's the meaning of combination. So we are just going to treat these ones now. The signs, the sounds, ending sounds. Okay, so that's what this means. The ending sounds. Okay, so there are two types of ending to an ism. The first one is the ending sound, and it's for singular looking ism, or the mufrad, or the isms that are singular, or they look more like singular. How can an ism look like a singular but it's not singular? That's the question, right? Because there is a reason for this. Please note it down and I'll explain it later. But any singular ism would either have u or un, depending. I said this is light and this is heavy. Okay, there are reasons why a word can be heavy or light, but they are both signs of a rafa ism, which is singular. Okay, a word with such ending is said to be in rafa status. Okay, and it is identified as marfu'un. So anytime you see a word with u, so most probably is a singular word. Okay, or let me give you this hint from now, or it is jam'u taksir. That is a word that is plural, but it looks physically like singular. And that's why I did mention this in a bracket, that is for singular looking isms. Okay, very, very important. And if a word is having the sign of u or un, then it's marfu'. Now, if a word is having a or an, okay, is said to be in nasb status, and it is identified as mansubun. So a and an, Muhammada or Muhammadan. Okay, Muhammada or Muhammadan. They are both in nasb status, right? But one is heavy, one is light. The last sound is e or in. A word with such ending is said to be in jar status. Okay, so these are the signs of the jar status. I hope Rabiu is following with us now and understanding the status and the signs. E and in are signs of jar status. And if a word is in jar status, we say it is majroor. Or the second type of ending is the ending combination. combination of sounds and letters for muthanna and jamu. So if a word is more than one, that is pair or plural, then the ending that determines its status is an ending combination. Okay, so these are the things that we shared earlier. In Rafa status, we will have ani or in Nasb and Jar status, we have aini or aini or ai. So here, for instance, we say Muhammadani or Muhammada, Kitabani, Kitaba. And in Jar status, Kitabaini or Kitabai. Muslimani, Muslima, Muslimaini, Muslimai. So this is Rafa status and this is Nasb and Jar status. Don't forget, Nasb and Jar. Now somebody will ask, but how can I differentiate between the Nasb and Jar? By context, right? We did mention that word after of is Jar. Word possessive in possessive case is Jar. So if it is after of and you see that it's Aini or Ai, then it's Majrur. But if it is a word that is done to or the victim of an action, but it's ending with the same, then it is in Nasb status. That's very easy, right? But Rafa is this. Ani, if it's heavy, when the noon drops. Nasb Aini, I when the noon drops. So it's very easy for you to identify how to make the ending combination light or heavy. To make an ending combination light, you just drop the noon. But to make an ending sound, this one, to make it light, you just take one of the sounds. Very easy, right? Let's go to the plural. Plural words will end with una and u. We spoke about una, u. So, Muslimuna and Muslimu, both in Rafa status. One is heavy, one is light. Muslimina and Muslimi. Muslimina and Muslimi, one is heavy and one is light. We will come and share instances why a word should be light, but we said by default, words are heavy, okay? But these are the endings. Anytime the noon drops, it is light, okay? Good. And if it is a plural feminine, we say atun, the ending would be atun or atu. So atun, un, or u. So in this case, there's alif and ta, but if it is heavy, it's dhammatan, and if it is light, it's dhamma. Atin and ati. You see, this is heavy and this is light, both in nasb and jar status. So we say atun, atu, or atin, ati, in case of plural feminine words in Rafa status. Now note, Rafa, okay? This is Rafa feminine, this is Rafa masculine. So this one is an example of Muslimuna, and then Muslimatu and Muslimatun. Okay, we'll come and see an example of that, inshallah. The last one here is a broken, sorry, last but one is a broken plural. Yes, broken plural. This one we call Jamu Taksir. Okay, in the case of this and that, Jamu Muannas Salim and Jamu Muzakkar Salim. I know a lot of you know this. Okay, plural masculine and plural feminine. But these two are normal plurals. But these plurals are broken plural, Jamu Taksir. Okay, it's same like the singular. So in Rafa status, it can be either un or u. In Nasb status, an or a. In Jar status, in or e. I'm sure you all know this. Now, this is an interesting table that we will share later for all of you to have. And this is what we have been explaining since the beginning of this, of how to tell the status of an ism. Very, very important. How to tell the status of an ism. It's either you look at it being Rafa, Nasb, or Jar. Okay, so if the word is in Rafa status, it can either be singular, it can be dual, or it can be all kinds of plural, right? So mufrad, muthanna, or jamma, and then arba anwa al-jumu'a, jamu muzakkar salim, jamu muannas salim, jamu taksir, and then jamu taksir have two types, li'aqilin wa lighayri aqil. Okay, human and non-human broken plurals. The most important thing is that we are trying to identify these. These are the endings, my brothers. The Rafa, Nasb, Jar are status. The signs are either un or u, an or a, in or e, depending on if it is heavy or light. Okay, rafa, nasb, jar. If it is pair, it can either be a or ani. Ani is heavy, a is light. Aini is heavy, ai is light, nasb. Then aini is heavy, ai is light, jar. So jar for pair. This one is for pair. And some of these comments will assist you, okay, to understand the details of what we are saying. And then in plural, if it is normal plural or safe plural or sound plural, call it whatever, jam'u muzakkar or normal, we call it jam'u muzakkar salim. What is the meaning of salim? For you, some of you who do not, who have known this in Arabic, salim means that salima shakl al-mufrad min at-taghyir, that the form of the singular word is safe from any change. So for instance, Muslimun becomes Muslima, Muslimuna. So you can have the Muslim and then you just add the una to it. Muslim is safe from Muslim and Muslimani, then Muslimuna. So the Muslim is safe. That's the meaning of Salim, which means Salima Shakl al-Mufrad min at-Taghyir. The shape of the singular word is not affected in its plural state. Good. Now we go to the Jam'u Mu'annas Salim, a feminine word that is in plural, but the singular form is also safe. Like what? Muslimatun and Muslimatu, Muslimatin and Muslimati, jar, Muslimatin and Muslimati, nasb. Sorry, nasb jar, respectively. Okay? And then broken human or human broken plural, jam'u taksir. Now, what is this taksir? So the difference between taksir and salim is the opposite. So taksir means it's broken. Salim means it's not broken. If you can take it like that. Salim means it's safe. Broken means it has been broken, not safe, right? And it all refers to the singular form of the word. We'll give an example of that, inshallah, in our Muslim church. Okay? So here you can say, for instance, kalamun and kalamu. Okay? Kalamun, kalamu, and kalaman, kalama, kalamin, kalami. Okay? The word kalam, sorry, I'm giving you the singular, but I was supposed to give you the plural. So this is aklamun, aklamu, aklaman, aklama, aklamin, and aklami. So that's the plural of kalam. Now, why is it broken? Because the singular word is kalamun, whilst the plural is aklam. So you can see that another hamza is brought in, and another mad alif is put in there. So that makes the form of the singular broken. That's what the taksir means. I maksurun shaklil mufrad. Good. And then it can also be lil aqil wa li ghayr aqil. For this one, okay. So I give you the one for aqil is like rasulun and rusulun. Rasulun, rasulani, rusulun, rusulu, rusulan, rusula, rusulin, rusuli. So rusulun is maksur لأن شكل المفرد تتغير. The singular form is changed, is broken, because the singular form is rasulun with mad waw. But in the plural is rusulun, so it is broken. But the word is lil aqil, is for an intelligible being. Okay? But we have a broken plural for non-human. That's the one I gave you earlier, kalamun. So you have aklamun, aklamu, aklaman, aklama, aklamin, and aklami. Why is it broken? Because the singular form is kalamun. At the plural form, it did not say kalamuna, for instance. It says akolamun. So that's why it's said to be broken. And it is غير akil, non-human. Okay, so you will have this particular um, chart as a template to keep to remind you how you can tell the ending sounds. Now let's quickly go to this. Now, this is what I was talking about when I said I will share with you an example of how the jam'u is work. Sorry, the ending sounds can be determined. So, for instance, in the case of singular, we have heavy and light. Okay, Muslimun, Muslimu. They are both marfu. Okay, marfu. They are both marfu. It's just that this one is heavy, this is light, but they are both marfu. Musliman, Muslima. They are both mansub, right? Mansub. This one is heavy, this is light. Muslimin, Muslimi, they are both majroor. This is heavy, this is light. Okay, this is for singular. And this one is Rafa Nasb Jar. Don't forget this. Rafa Nasb Jar. In fact, I supposed to have discussed something with you earlier to give you an indication of how the form of this particular class is going, this particular program is. Anytime we talk about ism, we will be looking at the forms. Anytime you see me mentioning 1, 2, 3 is Rafa Nasb Jar. If I'm going diagonally, then I'm talking about singular, pair, plural. Okay, so we'll look at that table, inshallah, also. But for here, it's Rafa Nasb Jar. Okay, but this is heavy, this is light. If we come to Muthanna, pair, Muslimani, Muslima, Muslimani, Muslima, what is the difference? The noon is dropped. What is the difference between the two? One is heavy, one is light. Okay, but they are both what? Marfu, because you can see ani and and here is Muslimaini. So this is the aini we discussed earlier. Aini and ai, Muslimai, both in nasb status. One is heavy, one is light. That is nasb status. Okay, so mansub. And then Muslimaini, Muslimai also in jar status. So the nasb and jar are always the same, but by context you should be able to know if this one is the done to or the victim, or if this one is a possessive case or a word after of to make it majrur. But this is the form of dual or pair. In the case of the 4 different kinds of plurals, we have jam'u muzakkar salim, a safe plural or sound plural masculine or masculine plural, muslimuna and muslimu. This is heavy, this is light. It's light by dropping of the noon. They are both marfu'. Muslimay, Muslimi, sorry, this one is Muslimina, Muslimi, both in nasb status, Muslimina, Muslimi, also in jar status. So the jar and nasb, as I said, they are always the same. You can know that by context. Jam'u muannas salim, plural feminine words. Muslimatun, you can see that, sorry, Muslimatun, the singular is Muslimatun, but the plural is Muslimatun. So the atun is the heavy sign ending combination. Atu is ending combination, but light. Okay, light here. Muslimatin, ending combination for nasb status, heavy, and then Muslimati, ending combination for nasb status, light. Okay, so this is heavy and this light. Muslimatin also majroor with atin, majroor with ati. So if I ask you what is the sign of jar here, you say atin. What is the sign of jar here is ati, depending on how they come in that sequence. Rafa, nasb, and jar. Jamu taksir, broken human, plural, rusulun and rusulu, heavy light. Rusulan, rusula, heavy light. Nasb, rusulin, rusuli, heavy light, jar. Okay, and I've shared why is it broken. Broken because the singular form is rasulun with a waw. When it came to the plural, the waw drops, so it is broken. Okay, the singular form is broken. And then it is human because it refers to a human being, rasul, messenger. And this is aklamun from the word kalamun, which is pen. And the pen, by the time it becomes plural, it is broken by hamza and alif, additional hamza and alif. That makes it broken. That makes it taksir, but ligayr akil for non-human. But in rafa status, it's either aklamun or aklamu. In nasb status, it's either aklaman or aklama. And in jar status, it's either aklamin or aklami. Okay, so this is an explanation of the Muslim church, or okay, how to know the ending. Of course, we've discussed about these ones, and that's the heavy and light aspect of the ism. So ism can be heavy or light. Now note, we have been discussing the things to consider when it comes to ism. Things to consider are the form of the status, how to tell the status, and then also if it is heavy or light. That's what we are learning now. If a word is heavy or light, meaning the ending, is it heavy or light? And we mentioned how to know an ending sound and how to know an ending combination. The ending sound can be heavy and it can be light. It can be heavy when it is munawwan, tanween, and it can be light when it's dead munawwan. Okay, but ending combination can be heavy whenever there is the n and noon sound, and light can be, sorry, for it to be light, just drop the noon. Okay, but it's actually in both cases of singular, pair, and plural. The most important thing to note is that anytime you hear the n sound, then it is heavy. So if I say kitab, even though it's singular with tanween, you can hear the n sound. Kitabun, kitabun. And when I say kitabani, though it's pair, but you can still hear the ni. So the n is what you have to avoid to make it light. Okay. So normally an ism should be heavy. That is, the ending should have an, in, or ani, aini, sorry, ani, ina, atun. Okay. An ism is made light by removing the extra sound. Okay. Do this by removing the double accent, that is the tanween, or by removing the extra noon at the end of an ism. You have to note also, very important note here, alif and lam. An ism that has alif and lam does not accept tanween. However, that kind of ism with an al is not considered light. Confusion. What does it mean? What is the meaning of this last statement? When we say kitabun is heavy, kitabu is light, but al-kitabu, you can't say al-kitabun. That's for sure. But when you say al-kitabu, is it light? No, it's not light. So here we say the aspect of light and heavy is irrelevant. So anytime an ism has an al, it cannot be munawwan, but it cannot also be considered light. It's confusion, but that's how we learn it for now. Okay, so we say al-madrasa too. Is it light? No, it's not light. Why? Because it has an alif and lam. So the issue of heavy and light is relevant. That's the answer to this question. Kitabun, is it heavy? Yes, it's heavy. Kitabu, is it heavy? Yes, it is heavy. But the moment I put the alif and lam, then the issue of heavy and light becomes irrelevant. A very, very important discussion here. Okay, so let's go to the screen or my. Okay, let's quickly go because we are ending today's discussion quickly. The last part of the status is flexibility. Now, this flexibility business, let me just take this to you and share this with you without the screen for now. Okay. Now, when I say flexibility, let me give you a typical example of what the flexibility is about. For instance, the word Muhammadun, Muhammadan, Muhammadin. You can hear the an, un, in, and when you write it mushakkal, if you put the tashkil, you put domatan, patatan, kisratan. But when I say Musa, 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 Musa can only be Musa. I've never heard somebody say Musan and Musin and Musun, for instance, right? So Musa is non-flexible, meaning the end of Musa does not change. Whatever status Musa is still Musa. But depending on the status Muhammad is, Muhammad will either be Muhammadun if it's the doer, Muhammadan if he's received the action or is the victim or is the done to, and Muhammadin if it's after off or after harf, right? So Muhammad is fully flexible. Flexible means it can take the Dhamma, sorry, it can show the Dhamma, or it can show the sign of the Rafa, sign of the Nasb, and sign of the Jar. It shows it at the end, so you can see it clearly. But Musa, Isa, Yahya, or any word ending with that alif al-maksura, we say it's non-flexible. So Muhammadun and Kitabun, for instance, these are fully flexible isms. But Musa, Yahya, Salwa, Layla, having the end, for instance, are non-flexible. I hope that is clear. Now we have a third part that is partly flexible. What is this partly flexible? Part flexibility means it can take, you can see the Dhamma or the sign of Rafa showing. So you can say, for instance, Ibrahimu. Ibrahimu will show you the sign of Rafa. Okay? Inna Ibrahimu can inna Ibrahima, sorry. It can show the fatha or the nasb. The fatha sign of the nasb and the dhamma sign of the Rafa, right? But it will not show the jar sign of Kisra. That is partly flexible, right? Like Ibrahim, like Sulaiman, like Ismail, like Ahmad, they don't show Kisra. I'm sorry. These isms don't show Kisra. Why? Well, the Arabs say these words are non-flexible, others are partly flexible, and others are fully flexible. We will get to the reasons why isms can be fully flexible, partly flexible, or non-flexible. These are the three types of flexibility of an ism, in short. So you can see that it's really very easy for you to understand. Because in the Quran, you can easily see it a lot of the time. When you see the word Ibrahim, have you ever seen Ibrahim with a kisra? Okay, go into the Quran and start searching. Isn't that interesting? Why is Ibrahim not having kisra? Even when it is in the status of jar, you don't see the kisra. But we will say it's majrur. Note, Mr. Rabi Usabo, it is not that Ibrahim cannot be majrur. No, Ibrahim can be marfu'un, it can be mansubun, and it can be majrur. But if it is in marfu'un, it can show the dhamma. If it is mansubun, it can show the fatha. But if it is majrur, it does not show kisra. It will rather show fatha. Okay, it will show fatha. So we call them the partly flexible isms. We say they have the u'a'a. U'a'a, not u'a'i. U'a'i is rafa, nasb, jar for all isms in rafa, nasb, and jar status respectively. But if an ism is partly flexible, then it can show the u in rafa status, okay. It will show the a in nasb status, okay. But if it is in jar status, it doesn't show kisra. Yes, so that's what we are saying. In jar status, it shows the fatha, Abdul Hamid. Exactly so. Yes, we'll do that, inshallah. So let's go into my slides and let's share the details of flexibility. Okay. Okay. So we are at the end of this session. About 10 minutes to go. Good. Now, more about flexibility now. So, flexibility of an ism, there are three categories of flexibility considering the nature of our ism. So you see here, we have the status. We have the status, and these are the things that we have learned. The form of the status, how to tell the state. So the form can either be rough. Sorry, this is rough. Nothing problem with my mouse, right? It's supposed to be rafa, not raka. Okay. So these are the status, what to consider for a status. Rough, that is the form, either rafa, nasb, or jar. How do you tell the rafa, nasb, and jar? You look at the ending sound and ending combination. Okay, we have discussed this one now. Either if it is light or heavy, that is by saying if the ending has an n or not, like un, an, in, or u, a, i, or u, a, i, or a, i, u, and so on, right? The flexibility is what we are discussing now, the last part of how or what a status consists of. Okay, so it means here, it says here it can accept or show all the three forms or not. For you to determine if an ism can show all the three forms, and that is the signs here. Okay. So based on that, we have our Muslim church. Sorry. We have our Muslim church. Okay. Sorry, we've discussed the Muslim church. Okay, let's do this. Now look at this fully flexible ism. Can you see my screen? Yes. Yes, Aisha. ممنوع من الصرف التام. Now note, here, this is the difference here. ليس فقط أنه ممنوع من الصرف, but ممنوع من الصرف التام. Okay, صرف التام. When I say صرف التام means complete flexibility. This one is flexible, but it is partly. وهو شبه مصرف. Okay, ممنوع من بعض الصرف ليس من كل الصرف. Okay, very important. Fully flexible is, which means it can show all the stands. So let's look at the details. I hope Mr. Rabiu is following here. So most isms in Arabic are fully flexible. That's what is said. And it can be heavy or light. So kitabun, kitaban, kitabin, and it can be kitabu, kitaba, and kitabi. That means it can show all the three basic status signs or status forms. Okay, Rafa, Nasb, Jar. In the case of Rafa is Fatha or Dhamma. So in that case, sorry, in that case here is Rafa. In Rafa status, it will show the Dhamma. In Nasb status, it will show the Fatha. And in Jar status, it will show the Kisra. When we say an ism is non-flexible, it means that only one form is maintained. Okay, so it will maintain one form. So if it's the name is Yahya and it's always Yahya, for instance, okay, it looks the same in all the stages, right? Some words that are non-flexible, for instance, Isa and Dunya. Dunya is always Dunya. Isa is always Isa. That's ending with the alif. Okay. Now the singular and the plural pointer words are also non-flexible. Don't forget. These are some of the things that you have to learn. Hada, hazihi, haulahi, dhalika, tilka, ulaika. These words are all non-flexible, which means they are, and yes, Musa is the same. Musa and Isa and Yahya and Salwa and Layla, all these names are non-flexible, which means they don't show anything at the end. Okay? They don't show anything at the end. The sound they have is what they have. And also some of these pronouns. This is a demonstrative pronoun. Okay? Hada, hazihi, haula'i, dhalika, tilka, ulaika. Haza, hazihi, haula'i is when something is near. Dhalika, tilka, ulaika is when some things are far, and they are all in the singular pair plural respectively. Okay. So these all are also part of the non-flexible isms. Ism al-asma al-mawsul are also non-flexible. These ones, except the ones in the asterisks, those ones are partly flexible. Alladhi is non-flexible. Allati non-flexible. Ma is non-flexible. Man is non-flexible. Alladhina, Allahi or Allati, these are all non-flexible. Non-flexible means these are isms that they do not have any change at their end, no matter where you find them. But alladani, so the ani here is partly flexible. So you say alladhi, alladani, allati, allatani. So that's why allatani, and it can become allataini and alladaini. That's why these two are actually partly flexible in that case. Okay. Okay, so these are the partly flexible isms which cannot have kisra. I spoke about this. I said partly flexible isms cannot be heavy and they cannot also have kisra. Cannot be heavy means you cannot say Ibrahimun. You can't say Ibrahimun or Ismailun or Sulaimanun. I'm sure a lot of you will be thinking, really? Yes. Why? Because those isms are partly flexible isms and they don't take kisra. Those names are partly flexible isms. Okay, they have only two forms, one for rafa and that is u, and one for nasb and jar and that's a. I hope Mr. Rabiu is following. Okay, partly flexible isms have only two forms, U if it is rafa, and A if it is for jar and nasb. Somebody will ask, okay, how do I differentiate nasb and jar? We've already spoken about it, right? Nasb is a victim. So a victim of an action is always nasb. So you will see it with A, okay. And word after of is jar. So it's very easy, but you always see it with A because why? It is a partly flexible ism, okay? A closer look at partly flexible ism. Words that are partly flexible, proper names of all places. So a name of a place is partly flexible, whether Arab or non-Arab. Okay. The exception are names spelled with 3 letters, with the middle having sukun. Okay. For instance, Makkah, Makkata, Makkata. So see, Makkatu is a rafa status, Makkata nasb, Makkata jar. So you see, instead of having the sign of jar, maybe as kisra, you can't see the kisra. So it's Makkata, Makkata, Makkatu, Makkatu. Why? Makkah is a name of a place, but it's having more than 3 letters. Pakistanu, Pakistana, Pakistana. Name of a place, so partly flexible. Why? It's partly flexible because a name of a place. Okay. And then Adnun, Adnan, Adnin. Even though it's a name of a place, but it's fully flexible. Fully flexible because it can take tanween and it can also show then un, an, in. Why is it fully flexible? Why is it the name of a place? Because it has 3 letters. Another ruling says the middle one must be silent. Okay, 3 letters with the middle one being silent. Any ism in this form would be fully flexible, regardless of it being Arab or non-Arab. Another part of the non-flexible ism is the most interesting part of this today's lesson. And that is that based on ahadith of Prophet Muhammad SAW, there are only 4 Arab prophets in the Quran, and the rest are non-Arabs. The 4 Arab prophets are Muhammad SAW, Hudun, Salihun, Shu'aibun. That's why I can say Muhammadun, Hudun, Salihun, and Shu'aibun. Apart from all these 4, no any prophet can be made munawwan because they are partly flexible. I hope that is clear. Okay, but there is an exception. The exception are names spelled with 3 letters. 3 letters like Nuhun, you see, Nuhun and Lutun. So this one can be Lutun, Lutan, Lutin, and Nuhun, Nuhan, Nuhin. Fully flexible, even though they are non-Arab. So all Arab names are fully flexible. That is one ruling we are getting here. Non-Arab names are partly flexible, except if those non-Arab names have 3 letters, right? And in the middle being silent, like this, Nuhun and Lutun. Okay, these are examples. So in Rafa status, Nasb and Jar. Okay, Muhammadun, Muhammadan, Muhammadin. Why is it fully flexible? Because it's an Arab name. Ibrahimu, Ibrahima, Ibrahima. See, Nasb and Jar. Why is it non-flexible? Sorry, why is it partly flexible? Because it's also a non-Arab name. Ibrahim is a non-Arab name. That's why it's partly flexible. Nuhun, Nuhan, Nuhin. Why is it fully flexible, even though it's a non-Arab name? Because it has 3 letters, right? So this is the rule. Take it and as a very important bit for the day. We have about 3 minutes to go. Let's do a small exercise. Take your fingers, sharpen them, and answer these questions very quickly before we leave, okay? I will say them only once. Musa, is it F-P-O-N? Musa, F-P-O-N. Fully or partly, based on what we have learned now. What is Musa? Very good. Why? Why is it an N? Absolutely, because a non-Arab, but not only that. I like your answer. I like your answer. It's only, yes, it's non-Arab name. I like that. Aywa, Nadia. It has only one form. Okay, it's also having the at the end based on what we learned earlier, right? Musa, very good. Okay, let's go to Jannah. It's an ism. Is it fully, partly, or or non-flexible? Fully, okay. Okay. Let's go to Yusufa or Yusufu or Yusufi. Is it fully, partly, or non-flexible? Number 3. Why is it P? Why is Yusuf P? P, Hafiz, Aisha. Why is it P? Yes, so. Yes, so. It's non-Arab. Absolutely correct. Let's go to Hada, number 12. Hada, is it FPON? Hada. Hada is non-flexible. Why? Why is it non-flexible? Is that Ism Mosul? Are you sure? Yes, it's non-flexible. Yes, it takes one form. It's Ismul Ishara. Very good. Pointer word. We call it pointer word or demonstrative pronoun. Yes, it's a pointer, Rehana. Very good. Let's go to Kalam. Kalam. Is it FPON? Can it show all the signs at the end? And can it be Munawwan? Kalam. Why is it an F? Why? Why? Please give me the why. It's easy for you. Give me the why. Why is it so? Okay, why should this be so? Who can tell me why? Somebody is asking why. Why would I say why? It's normal. But I need an, it is what? It is okay. I like that one. It is Salim 4. Okay. I like that one. It's heavy. Okay. Okay. It can be un and in. Very good. But as a teacher, it's mufrad. Yes, I agree. But as a teacher, what can you tell the learner? The only thing is that by default, the ism is fully flexible. So none of the non-flexibility or partly flexibility apply. So that's how you make the plus and minuses. So because by default, none of those things that will cause it to be partly flexible or non-flexible applies here. So it is fully flexible. Okay. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you. Let's go to the word al-untha, number 23. Al-untha 23. Is it fully, partly, or non-flexible, and why? Al-untha, partly, fully, none. Wow, none. Wow. Why is it none? Why is it none? Aywa, because it's having the alif at the end. MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Very good. Very good. Very good. Jazakumullah khair. Please go and learn from the book. I appreciate all your answers. Jazakumullah khair. Inshallah, we'll move on from here tomorrow. Inshallah, we'll look at the next property of an ism, and that is the n, the number. Yes? Tomorrow, we'll look at the next property of an ism. Today, we have discussed the first property of an ism, and we have learned that the status is the first property, and a status can be determined when you consider its form or the form of an ism. The form can either be rafa, nasb, or jar. Okay, these are the 3 different status that you can have. And we have also mentioned that for you to identify what the form is or the status is, you need to consider the ending sound or the ending combination. And that sound and ending combination can either be heavy or light. Heavy by having the n sound or n sound, munawwan or binun. If you drop that noon or n sound or the tanween, then it becomes light. Okay, and then we'll also look at the flexibility of an ism. That is, if the ism can have fully, it can show all the Dhamma Fatha Kisra, or it doesn't show at all, or it partly shows and partly doesn't show. So these are the 4 things to consider for you to determine a status. Okay? The form, telling of the ending sound and ending combination, heavy or light, as well as the flexibility. If you are able to determine these 4 things about the status, then you will surely be able to identify the status. Tomorrow, we'll see the number and how to identify the number of an ism. Jazakumullah anna kull khair. Thank you so very much. I think I had somebody raising his hand. Hafiz, are you asking a question? Is that Hafiz? Please, are you asking a question? Okay, you can ask the question because we are done and our time is up already. But yes, you can ask your question, Hafiz. Please unmute yourself, Hafiz Ibrahim. Please unmute yourself and ask your question. Unmute yourself. Okay, Abdul Hamid, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes,
yes.
Not really a question, Sheikh. I just please, can you share a video after this one here, because I never watched properly. So yes, please share whether you want to, inshallah.
Inshallah. Within the hour, you get the 2 videos for yesterday and for today, inshallah.
Oh, inshallah.
Wa iyyakum. Thank you so very much. Yes, okay. Hafiz Ibrahim. Wa iyyakum. Okay. Hafiz Ibrahim, are you asking a question? If not, we'll end up today's. Okay, Hafiz.
Yes, sir. Me too. I'm asking about the video update of it.
Mashallah, I would surely send you the link today. Yesterday,
okay,
yesterday we have some hitches, and that's why.
Okay, thank you very much.
I will send. I hope both of you are on the WhatsApp platform, right? Okay, so I will share the link, inshallah, on the WhatsApp platform for all to follow. And don't forget your Edmudo questions. Yes, okay, inshallah. The Edmudo questions will continue today, okay? Yesterday was a free day. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wal 'asr innal insana lafi khusr. إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. والله يعصمك من الناس والله يعصمك من الناس والله يعصمك من الناس. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.